Let's talk about inspecting safety posts. Now, we use safety posts, perhaps sometimes you've heard them called stanchions. They are devices that we attach to the top of a wide flange beam, and then we string cable between them so that they then can serve as posts for a horizontal lifeline. That's the most common use that there is of them. Now, when you look at a post and before you install it, you should check to make sure that everything that's being attached to the beam is in good working order. That is, that there should not be any defects, cracks, breaks, anything in any part that's going to be directly attached to the beam. Now, the way they sit is they sit over the beam flange, and then you put the bolt up, screw the bolt up, and then when you screw the bolt up and get it tight to where the beam post is sitting at the correct angle and the top of the clamp is right against the top of the beam, then you can go back, take the rods, the hooks, and pull the beam hooks with the rods up close and tighten them up with the large wing nuts that are on the back. So that's how you install them, but you want to check to make sure that every part that's attached to the beam is in good working order. Also, that when you look at the post, there's no cracks in the welds or no distortion in the post itself. Then up at the top, where there's a plate with two holes in it, and that's where the cable is attached, to make sure that that's in good order as well. So then check and make sure. Also, when you're walking along up at the top, and if you have a moment while you're in the process of moving from one place to another, just take a quick look at that post and make sure it hasn't suffered any damage, there hasn't been any arc strike on it or anything like that. Then, when you are taking them off, remember not to throw them off onto the ground. Usually when you're taking them down, you can leave one end of the horizontal lifeline on one of the posts, and you can drop it down by that to the lower level on the cable without having to physically drop it off. It's likely to damage it, and we've talked about this before, but I wanted to reiterate that to make sure that they stay in pretty reasonable condition so we can continue to use them. If you find that there's a defect in a post, make sure that your foreman knows. Make sure that that post gets removed from service. Don't just cast it off to the side and say, well, I'll remember. Well, you may remember, you may not. Someone else may come along, see the post, need a post, and then start putting it on and use it. And there we are using something that's defective. So make sure that if you see a defect in a safety post, that you remove it from service, tell your foreman, put a red tag on it, make sure that it gets taken out of service so that it can be repaired. I would rather certainly that you not try to repair it there on site. Put it in the back of the foreman's truck, make sure it gets tagged, make sure it gets back to the yard. In due course of time, when we perhaps get slow sometime, we'll get someone to fix it. There's no reason for you to stop what you're doing and try to repair it on the site.